leather. Her long grey hair was pulled into a tight bun, and she wore her shawl like a badge of office. She brooked no nonsense, as Arlen had learned more than once at the end of her stick. But today, he was comforted by her presence. Like Arlen's father, something about Celia made him feel safe. Though she had never had children of her own, Celia acted as a parent to everyone in Tibbet's Brook. Few could match her wisdom, and fewer still her stubbornness. When you were on Celia's good side, it felt like the safest place in the world. "It's good that you've come, Jeff," Celia told Arlen's father. "Sylvie and young Arlen too," she said, nodding to them. "We need every hand we can get. Even the boy can help." Arlen's father grunted, stepping down from the cart. "I brought my tools," he said. "Just tell me where we can throw in." Arlen collected the precious tools from the back of their cart. Metal was scarce in the brook, and his father was proud of his 2 shovels, his pick and his saw. They would all see heavy use this day. "How many lost?" Jeff asked, though he didn't really seem to want to know. 27, Celia said. Sylvie choked and covered her mouth, tears welling in her eyes. Jeff spat again. "Any survivors?" he asked. "A few," Celia said. "Manny." She pointed with her stick at a boy who stood staring at the funeral pyre. "Ran all the way to my house in the dark." Sylvie gasped. No one had ever run so far and lived. "The wards of Brian Cutter's house held for most of the night," Celia went on. "He and his family watched everything. A few others fled the corelings and succored there, until the fires spread and their roof caught. They waited in the burning house until the beams started to crack, and then took their chances outside in the minutes before dawn. The corelings killed Brian's wife, Mina, and their son, Paul. But the others made it. The burns will heal, and the children will be all right in time. But the others—" She didn't need to finish the sentence. Survivors of a demon attack had a way of dying soon after. Not all, or even most, but enough. Some of them took their own lives, and others simply stared blankly, refusing to eat or drink until they wasted away. It was said you did not truly survive an attack until a year and a day had passed. "There are still a dozen unaccounted for," Celia said, but with little hope in her voice. "We'll dig them out," Jeff agreed grimly, looking at the collapsed houses, many still smouldering. The Cutters built their homes mostly out of stone to protect against fire, but even stone would burn if the wards failed and enough flame demons gathered in one place. Jeff joined the other men and a few of the stronger women in clearing the rubble and carting the dead to the pyre. The bodies had to be burned, of course. No one would want to be buried in the same ground the demons rose out of each night. Tender Harold, the sleeves of his robe, rolled up to bare his thick arms, lifted each into the fire himself, muttering prayers and drawing wards in the air as the flames took them. Sylvie joined the other women in gathering the younger children and tending to the wounded under the watchful eye of the Brook's herb-gatherer, Colin Trigg. But no herbs could ease the pain of the survivors. Brian Cutter, also called Brian Broadshoulders, was a great bear of a man with a booming laugh who used to throw Arlen into the air when they came to trade for wood. Now, Brian sat in the ashes beside his ruined house, slowly knocking his head against the blackened wall. He muttered to himself, and clutched his arms tightly as if cold. Arlen and the other children were put to work carrying water and sorting through the wood piles for salvageable lumber. There were still a few warm months left to the year, but there would not be time to cut enough wood to last the winter. They would be burning dung again this year, and the house would reek. Again, Arlen weathered a wave of guilt. He was not in the pyre, not banging his head in shock, having lost everything. There were worse fates than a house smelling of dung. More and more villagers arrived as the morning wore on, bringing their families and whatever provisions they could spare. They came from Fishing Hole and Town Square. They came from the Boggins Hill and Soggy Marsh. Some even came all the way from Southwatch, and one by one Celia greeted them with the grim news and put them to work. With more than 100 hands,